So we have many customs here for marriage and wedding, and as one can guess, many cultures have different customs. Some customs, the groom is not allowed to see the bride until moments before they get married. Some customs, it's a week-long event where they invite both family and friends to join in. And unfortunately, in some cultures, the groom is marrying the bride solely to gain ownership of her and her family. However, one such country stands out quite a bit more than others, not so much for their marriage customs, but for their divorce options instead. Or should I say lack thereof. You cannot get divorced in the Philippines. Filipino marriage starts out well enough. The bride and groom share shots with their significant other spouses, and the groom goes over to the bride's house to ask for permission to marry. However, from there, if things don't end out very happily, you unfortunately may be out of luck for ending your marriage. As it currently stands, aside from the Vatican City, the Philippines is the only country to where it is illegal for you to get a divorce. So what options does that give the Filipinos? You do have two. They're not easy processes, and it often takes a lot of time and money. But one of the options is to legally separate. You separate all of your property, you separate all of your stuff, you pretty much agree to live separately, but you're still legally considered married, so you can never get married again. The other option is that you can file for an annulment. This process takes years to go through, and unlike divorce, where two can admit that this simply didn't work out, you must prove that the marriage was never valid to begin with, or that the spouse is suffering from a psychological incapacity. So what does that mean exactly? Some options under Philippine law is that you say that the marriage is not valid, and some reasonings for the marriage not being valid is if the bride was under the ages of 18, if they falsified themselves as someone else, if the spouse has an incurable STD, or cases of polygamy, are one of the few options. Infidelity and physical abuse, however, are not good enough reasons to get a divorce. The second option, as stated prior, is to claim that the spouse was psychologically incapacitated, even if you do not believe that. There are no options for the two people to come to agreement and no longer be married. There's no papers that you can sign and just end it cut clean like in America. You have to basically throw your spouse under the bus to nullify it. Such events cause the process to drag out for months upon years, and it's a very expensive. It also requires proof of witnesses, and you must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the spouse was exhibiting behavior indicating the inability to take on the responsibilities of the marriage. This includes exaggerating claims, such as calling someone an alcoholic when they just occasionally drink, or claiming to be a womanizer when they've never actually hit you. It's a hurtful situation that can forever harm the significant other's life forever, so it is not really a great option to begin with. There is a stigma attached to those who have gotten a separation as well. While the process is already long, expensive, and drawn out, there's often judgment placed on those who do get an annulment or separate. People may question why your marriage didn't work out, or think that you're not willing to work things out properly, and thus view you differently and respond to you differently as well. This doesn't mean that people don't want to get divorced. Many people try to get divorced and are just not capable of it because they aren't able to afford it, or because they didn't find that their reasoning for getting separated was valid enough. But this doesn't mean that no one in the Philippines can get divorced. If you are of Muslim belief, which makes up about 5% of the Muslim or the Filipino population, they are allowed to divorce. And if you have married a foreigner, you are able to get a divorce. The practice of not being able to divorce has not always been the way that it was in the Philippines. It's only since 1949 that they decided to no longer make it legal. The reasoning behind the outlaw is due to Catholic religious beliefs followed by 95% of Filipinos. And while we complain that our marriage and divorce practices here in the United States take a long time and drawn-out process, we should be thankful for the ability to even get a divorce. The Philippines is a beautiful country with plenty of rich culture that may include their practice of separations and attempt to maintain a marriage for better or worse.